always exciting to talk about Auburn recruiting, especially when they talk about commits, people deciding to come to Auburn and be a part of our Auburn family. But let's dive a little bit deeper than just actually celebrating that and asking the will they, won't they type of question. Let's kind of keep up with them. Let's see what they're actually doing in their high school senior years before they actually sign on the dotted line. And that's what we're going to be doing in this video, taking a look at the current 7 Auburn commits for 2023 and how they performed in this week of high school football. If you enjoy this type of content, please do make sure that you smash the like button. It does let us know that you want more videos like this, and we'll continue to do so if you guys love it and show up to watch it. So with that being said, let me set the table for this particular type of video. We're going to be diving into, like I said, each of those 7 commitments for 2023. Haven't decided if we're going to start doing 2024 guys as well, because there are a couple of commitments in that class. But just those guys, how they performed in what I'm calling week 1 of high school football. Now, listen, here's the thing that you got to know if we're going to do these videos, at least this one or a series of them. This is best estimates on stats. This is best estimates on actual week 1 start dates. I'm calling it week 1 because it seems like it's week 1 mainly for Alabama, which is where the majority of our guys are going to be coming from. So we're calling this week 1, even if it's not. So if you find some technicalities, well, the stats are a little off, you know, it's the best guess at those type of things because there's not the best reporting out there in terms of the level and in depth of stuff that you get for collegiate athletics. So just keep those things in mind for this video. With that being said, let's talk about them. 7 different commitments, and 2 of the guys had, I shouldn't say just 2 of the guys, a lot of the guys had great week 1s, but 2 of the guys especially stand out, and we're going to talk right at the top about them. Jeremiah Cobb, running back for Auburn for Montgomery Catholic, went off in his very first game. Montgomery Catholic beat McGill-Tulane 42-21. He had 17 carries, 215 yards on those 17 carries, 4 touchdowns. He also, if that wasn't enough, had 2 catches for 61 yards. So what this shows you is that you've got a guy who's very versatile. If you didn't know that already, not only are they trusting him for, passing game, but they're including him and hoping that he'll be part of a much deeper passing game with 61 yards on 2 catches. Obviously can run the ball very well. And I think the thing that people miss about this is that his team beat McGill-Tulane. That's a 6A team, if I have that correctly. Montgomery Catholic is a 4A team. That's 2 different, divisions there that you really are trying to consider and what kind of skill level. And I know that sometimes it's just about the size of the school and stuff like that, but we traditionally associate 6A with having the best talent out there. And look what happened here. A great night for Jeremiah Cobb. Now let's talk about my boy, J.C. Hart, and I am joining the hype train for my man, J.C. Hart, the Hart of Lochapoka, who beat Lafayette 38-6. J.C. Hart had 5 receptions for 82 yards and 1 touchdown. So he was playing 2 different ways. This is the guy that's traditionally going to be a defensive guy, especially for us. That's what we recruited him for. But he had some great receiving nights there, including that touchdown. 2 tackles and a pass breakup for him against one of the better recruits that is being recruited by Mississippi State, I believe, right now. 66 yards on 2 punt returns. So we just talked about with Jeremiah Cobb, versatility, right? This is what you want to bring to the table, especially at those skill positions, so you can get some playing time early. I'm really excited for what I saw from J.C. Hart in week 1 on special teams, offense, and defense. Now let's talk about Braden Joyner. And if you are a proponent of Auburn needing more offensive linemen, well, you need to start celebrating this guy because he's the only one you got right now. And it is a little hard to really, for us as fans, to assess how an offensive lineman does because they're blocking and stuff like that. It's kind of hard to measure that unless you're a coach or an analytical guy and get into the fine details of that type of thing. For our purposes, what we're going to really look at is how Auburn High did rushing wise, other things, how many sacks did they allow, to kind of assess maybe how he contributed to the overall effort. So Auburn High beat Hoover, Alabama in Montgomery, Alabama, 17-14. The team had 2 rushing touchdowns, and he mostly played tackle during this time. Now, also, it is worth noting that he did switch from defensive lineman to offensive lineman this year. So he does have a little bit of a, experience there. So he played a few rounds at defensive tackle and helped them get some key stops in the win over Hoover. Now we can talk about Carmelo English, the wide receiver commit for Auburn out of Central Phoenix City. who his team beat the Hewitt-Trussville, I forget their mascot, but Hewitt-Trussville 37-21. Carmelo had 5 catches, 41 yards, and 1 touchdown. And while that may just seem like a pretty decent, a little above average night, I've heard from a lot of people talking about this game that he made such an impact early in the game that it really forced Hewitt-Trussville to change what they were doing on defense and kind of have to switch things around. Opened up the offense a lot for his team. So great job by Carmelo English. The last few here are going to be a little bit low on the stats in terms of what we can share because there wasn't a lot of information coming out of that, except for a highlight video of Wilkie Dinah. That's who I wanted to talk about next, about him going out there and just destroying somebody for a sack and forcing a fumble. His team, John Carroll High School, defeated Port St. Lucie, I guess is how you say that, 34-0. So you can see how not only himself, but the rest of his team just dominated on defense. And Wilkie obviously was a big part of that game. Really excited to see him play for the Tigers soon. Go watch that highlight if you haven't. And lastly, the other 2 commits that we haven't talked about Auburn is because they really didn't have anything to talk about because one of them was in a scrimmage and the other one didn't play at all. So let's talk about them real quick. You got Ashley Williams of Zachary High, who had a game against Edie White High School, which was only a scrimmage. So my understanding is they didn't track stats. They didn't even keep score of this thing. It's your typical scrimmage jamboree type of thing where you're going out there just trying to get pads on pads and try to get some feet moving, used to things again. And then Terrence Love, the defensive back commit for Auburn out of Langston Hughes High. He did not play at all, but he has a game coming up next week. So we'll look forward to covering him a little bit more, and hopefully we'll have a lot to talk about with him, but others as well as they get further and further into the high school season. So again, still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do these videos, how often we do them. If you guys like them, you showing up shows us that you like this type of thing and want it more often. I will share that maybe like a player of the week type of situation. 2 obvious candidates I talked about at the top. That's obviously J.C. Hart. And then you've also got Jeremiah Cobb. Both showed versatility, but one guy showed versatility across all 3 facets of the football game, and that's my boy J.C. Hart out of Lochapoka, very close to Auburn. So I'm going to just give him, if it means anything to him, my helmet sticker or game ball of the week to J.C. Hart. Now I'd love to know from you, what do you think about the performances of the Auburn commits for 2023 from this past week of high school football? Let me know down there in the comments section below. If you want more from us, be sure to subscribe along with hitting that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads or live streams. There's ways to keep up with us listed in the description, or ways to help support us by looking in the description too. You can hit the join button here, become a channel member, or head over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the Booster Club to help keep the lights on here at E2C Network. Thanks for joining us here on E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. War Eagle.